welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, where just before we went on, Ramon was trying to do his best Al Pacino hoo-ha. And now that I've exposed this to the public, go at it, Moan.
Whew, that's where it was, right there.
There's more of a ha in there, too.
Yeah, it was something like that. You know how it is when you ask somebody to do something, you can repeat
Totally
it, but it's not the same, you know?
Totally different. Different. Why do people watch this? They do run the very real risk that we're going to start off with something stupid, and from there that it could continue being something stupid for the duration, you know?
It could, man. If they knew what we talked about off air too, maybe I don't know. Maybe we go viral with some of that stuff too, DK. We'll keep
some of it
on.
would definitely go viral.
No, 100%, man. There's no doubt
question about that. Things aren't always predictable in life, Moan, and they aren't always predictable in football, such as Benny Snell being your leading rusher on Monday Night Football in Indianapolis. But Benny looked authentic.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think? Because I'm inclined to be the guy who gives more of the credit to the offensive line since everybody was running well.
I'm with you on that, man. But I say to this, a guy that came from where Benny did. Benny was the man at his college. I kind of knew that. He carried himself that way. You saw it on some of the clips he had in college where he's looking up at the camera, smiling, smirk, like he had this bit of swagger. And to be put on the back burner in the sense of how he played, who he played with over these years. You know what I'm saying? Like, not really, I don't know if you say got a fair shake. He got a fair shake, but not what he expected of his career. I mean, I looked it up on this before we came up to do this pod, and I knew he did well at Kentucky because they play against Tennessee every single year, but this dude averaged 1,000 yards every single year in college. Not just that, like double-digit touchdowns and also receiving yards along with that, DK and listeners. And it's not like he was a scrub, a role player. He was the guy. As bad as Kentucky football can be at times, he was very much highlighted throughout that. Yeah, that's my jab at one of my rivals in college. You think
it was nicer than the one you had off the air for them, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. But, man, I'll say this. For as rigorous as the NFL is and unpredictable, and that whole stat of the 1% of guys that make it, to be able to be really the underdog in the sense of where he is in his career as far as his position, meaning, heck, you got Jaylen Warren that leapfrogged him. You know what I'm saying? As far as the reps go at the running back position, got to kind of downgrade yourself in a sense to find a role on special teams, and he's kind of embraced that a whole lot. 6 tackles on the season so far, if I'm not mistaken, in his special teams role, but he's on every special team.
Yes.
From punt return, kickoff return, everything you can imagine when it comes down to him being a core player. But when called upon in that Monday night game, Benny looked like the guy that they went out and drafted. Okay, and all I say to this, man, you got to give credit where credit is at. And we had the big conversation about this team doesn't look like a hopeless team. It just looked like a young team, a team trying to find his identity. And I think Benny kind of highlighted that more than anything when it comes down to Najee being knocked out of the game. And let's be real, Benny ran for about 5.1 and a carry in the game. You know, if we're looking at the average of it with a nice touchdown too, DK, that was very much necessary. I got to give kudos to that.
I gotta hit pause and go to the touchdown.
Yeah.
Because there was something about that TD, and, you know, everyone wants to get into the folklore, and that's what it is actually, about Kenny Pickett calling that play. But there's a couple of things that happened within that. One, Kenny talked about this himself, both in Indianapolis and then in Pittsburgh, again, after the midweek practice, saying that he and Snell had developed a little bit of a relationship going back to Latrobe, including not just off the field, but also they were out there as part of the same unit offensively in exhibition games. So he said there was a trust. I believe in Benny Snell. I trust that when I hand him the football, the good things are going to happen.
Wow.
Between that call that Kenny made, Kenny went to the sideline and said, this play works with Benny. Okay? So they go on the field. Benny's out there. He takes the handoff and slides almost sideways to his left. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like this.
Yep.
and then goes forward and hits the hole.
Yeah.
And I believe I made this reference earlier this week on the show that looked a lot like Le'Veon Bell. Now, he's not Le'Veon Bell. I'm not being an idiot here, okay? But that particular sequence leads you to see that this is more than just boom, which is what we thought of Benny as being just go get you 2.5 yards, get up and dust yourself off. That Benny was, like you said, an accomplished running back in college with actual production, that doesn't just come from a cloud of dust.
No, it doesn't just come from there. And you bringing it up and having a conversation with Kenny about how that all evolved, like that's why I think the offseason OTAs is always important. That's why, old and young guys showing up on time to camp, or whether it's mini camp and those down periods, because here's a guy that's comfortable with Benny. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of just, I trust this guy. I'm not saying he doesn't do the same for Najee, but he's worked with him. He understands. They're speaking the same language, if we're being real.
Yeah.
Two guys fighting for a position, right?
Yep.
Fighting to be relevant in the NFL. Because say what you want about Kenny being a first rounder, he's still fighting to be relevant.
Right.
And that's why I kind of give credit to what Benny Snell has been able to do so far. And let's be honest too, DK, we can say that since the game is done. Nobody wanted to lose to the Colts.
Oh,
right?
Jeez. You had to go there. You AFC South nerd.
No.
You had to go there.
Not even just that, but they're trash right now. And
They
you don't want from your team is being beat by another bad team, right?
Their defense isn't trash. Okay, let's put it that way.
Look at DK getting a smoot. I love it.
We have some loyal citizens here.
I love it, man. Look at Dolly's like, whatever. Somebody needs to.
Yeah. She's looking like, what?
That's perfect right there.
Somebody just walked in.
Yeah.
Fans of the Ramon Foster show, no doubt.
But that's basically what Benny Snell was able to do this past weekend. Okay, this past Monday was basically blow a kiss to all the Steeler Nation, say, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still a part of this team," and I was just glad.
You never know what you're going to see on this show. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the other side of the football and another player we've been hoping to highlight today. Don't overthink it, because he's on the rise. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. For the record, the smooch came from my man Gary Lawless, who used to be he used to cover the Winnipeg Jets for the Free Press up there, and then has since moved on to be an employee of the Vegas Golden Knights, also in the NHL. They happen to be staying right across the street.
Wow.
Moan, have you ever run into somebody that it was in a totally weird spot where you didn't expect to run into anybody that you knew?
Oh, yeah.
And then you freeze? That's what happened here. I just froze. Like, I'm looking at it and going, that looks like Gary Lawless, but I'm not like, and I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
Not paying attention. It's like, and as soon as he walks out, I'm like, look at my way, Gary Lawless. Yeah.
That's cool. And what's even crazier is because you got an open door policy at the shop. Anybody can't walk in. So he saw you.
He knew what was going on here too, because he does his own shows and stuff like that and has for years. But anyway, so there's that.
with just homies all around like that. I know somebody's paying for dinner soon, huh? Since he's in town.
Well, he's the Vegas guy. He can now pay for dinner.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's one of the neat things about having our studio down here downtown like that. Anybody can just walk in, including the Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, look at that. Don't take him down, DK.
Alex Highsmith is a player who is doing so well and on such a rise with the Steelers that no less an authority than Cam Hayward said to me after the game the other day, pointed over toward him, getting dressed 56. He said, that guy is getting things done right now. More than what people see.
Mm-hmm.
What's your impression of him beyond the 10 sacks, Mo? And 10 sacks is right there for everybody to see.
I know, but you know what's even more wild? We're not even speaking that high of it. It's just happening. And I think that's just him in the sense of what Alex Highsmith is. I'm impressed by him. He ended up coming in to take over the spot that Bud has across the street from where TJ plays, and everybody wants to talk about everybody but him. And TJ is the defending defensive player of the year, so I get that. But here's a dude, man, that ended up getting a sack in the Colts game that was necessary at the time, and you saw him bend that edge like that and just get after that tackle. But he's been doing that clearly because his numbers say that. I continue to say, how in the heck do the Steelers find these type of dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like from Charlotte. Nobody expects that, and I love to see guys from those type of universities that are able to be the player that they want to be on the highest level, meaning in the NFL. What can he be, man? I'll tell you what. If he continues on this track, this dude has the NFL in his hands if they start to take notice of it. But of course, that all has to take into play with winning too. If this was an above 500 team, the conversation's so much different about what he's doing so far.
There's no question about that because it's not just the sacks. That's the point I'm pretty sure Cam was trying to make with me here. It's not just about how often does he get back there and finish with the splash. When you are a Steelers edge rusher, you have a specific responsibility, just like they talk about the running backs. If you don't block, you don't get on the field. Well, if you're an edge rusher with the Steelers and you're not sealing the edge on the run, you will not play.
No, sir.
It's as simple as that. That was indoctrinated into Bud Dupree, remember?
Yeah, and it still holds true because I see him when he's playing here in Nashville, man. That left side, I saw Lamar Woodley do it. I've seen James Harrison be able to do that. You're right. There is an idea that nobody runs to that side. We flush everything to everybody else, and he's held that up. And what's so interesting, too, about Alex Highsmith, you see him on the field, and you're like, yeah, he's a nice-sized dude. But then you see him in person. I saw him in person. I'm like, this is a big dude. Like
looks like a defensive end almost.
Yeah, 100%. It almost looked like he can put his hand in the dirt, man. This dude is like 6'4", 240, 250. Like he's not a small individual, and he's playing good. He's always readily available too. And knock on wood as I say that because I enjoy watching him play. Well, he's been more than solid.
Yeah, one of the things that Cam brought up too is you saw in the second half the Steelers, as you pointed out on the program yesterday, were having a tough time getting penetration in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Cam wasn't getting there. Larry wasn't getting there. Tyson wasn't getting there. So what happened was the edge rushers would kind of meet in the back like a conference call behind the quarterback, and it wasn't doing anybody any good because Matt Ryan was left with a halo.
Yeah.
And
he was.
And what ended up happening, a couple things. One, they got their secondary involved in the blitzing. That's how Terrell Edmonds got back there. That's how Arthur Millette got back there. But Alex came across too, and you mentioning his physique reminds me that this is someone who was seen as a potential either ILB or OLB coming out of college because frame, he actually looks like not just ILB, but like old school ILB.
Yeah.
Like Hardy Nickerson, or Lawrence Timmons.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's just a different animal, man.
He is, man, but to actually take on that role, and this is the beauty of what he's done so far. What was it, like 2 sacks his first year, the 6 last year, and then now he's double
2 and 4
already.
He had 6 total in the first 2 years, 10 already this year, and 4 forced fumbles. 4 forced fumbles.
That's insane, man. You need guys to help continue on what this defense really stands for, right? As many double teams as TJ's able to get, somebody has to eat, and this is the beauty of what Alex is. Like, this is a 3rd-round draft pick. Yeah, I know that's still pretty high up when you're talking about draft picks, but he's outdoing guys drafted before him in his draft year in a major, major way. And again, I hate that this team isn't winning more because he would be one of those, hey, vote for Pro Bowl at least. You know what I'm saying? Like, he deserves that when you're doing the numbers that he has in front of him.
Would you pay him?
I was going to avoid that because I know what the situation is.
We're not avoiding it.
This is year 3. He's not a first rounder. There's no 5th-year option, right?
Right.
You have to at some point.
Yep.
Because this is the thing. He's got the best cards in the deck. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody really behind him as far as depth goes, and he's proving you that he's worth it. Going into this 4th year, unless Omar's philosophy changes as far as franchising or paying the guy early, Alex is peaking at the right friggin' time. To answer your question through all of that, yes, you have to.
Yeah, I think you have to.
And the beauty of it too, and what we spoke about too, DK, he's you're dealing with a rookie franchise quarterback that's not taking up a major part of the cap.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You build
Take
around
advantage of
him.
it.
Yeah. Are we wrong to suggest that? Like, we'd be idiots not to say you better take advantage now and then go draft another guy maybe next year or the year after.
Take advantage of it. You arguably don't even need to be paying the backup quarterbacks what you're paying them. So there's something to be said there. There just is. When we come back, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you pay him?
Am I paying him?
Yeah.
I'd have to look more into it, but why wouldn't you?
You better get him before you get real hot, right?
I don't know that he's that guy. I don't know that he's that guy that's going to explode like TJ.
Or
do you know what I'm saying? I was saying that respectfully.
Or before somebody else in his class actually raised the bar a whole lot higher than what the Steelers want to pay for him.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. They have the cap space. It's not like they're so loaded on defense that they can just say, let him walk. We'll get another one. You know what I'm saying?
He got the power right now, yeah.
I would agree with that. When we come back, the only segment that matters.
Hey, home.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show and the only segment that matters. It's brought to you always by the Get Go Cafe and Market, where quality is at the core of every menu item. 3 expert chefs, not 1 or 2 moan, 3 expert chefs fine-tune every detail so that every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, app, and pilgrim are crafted for craveability. Order your favorite entry at the Get Go Cafe and Market today. Better believe it. And today's entry comes from, where is this here? Somebody who goes by Funkadelic, whatever, says, hey, it's your account. How about Moan? Oh, wait, hang on. Stepping back. Hey, Moan, how about Dan Moore? Is he improving? What's going on? Is he confused out there at times? This isn't his rookie year, is it? What do you think?
So discussing him, man, is kind of like hot and cold sometimes for a lot of different reasons. One part of me says you're supposed to get better from year 1 to year 2. Correct? That's always the coach's stilos.
It's certainly the head coach's mantra.
What you did in year 1 is not going to keep you around in year 2. And a portion of me says he's the starter, and it looked like he hasn't just progressed the way we would want him see him progress, right? We're seeing a lot of junk on film and
at that position. At that
position that you just kind of say, golly, dog, get it together. And then the other side of me knows and kind of say too, offensive linemen really, it takes time to get good. As far as like being a pro, understanding footwork, understanding the game, getting smarter than the defense, learning the offense, all those types of things, to where I'm like, okay, he's deserves some time. He deserves some, mulligans as far as where it goes. But I think this team is too fragile of a team to be able to allow that to actually happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the guy that started all 16 last year. And he should understand what the NFL cycle is like, what the demand is like, what's the play is supposed to mean, how it's supposed to be elevated. But it also say to him, there's no real vet that's been beside him to kind of tell him, hey, young fella, you like putting his foot to the flames and saying, this is what you need to be doing. Like, really going at him, because he's amongst his peers as far as who can critique who, unless they've gotten to that point of saying, hey, man, you better do your bleeping job, or this is gonna happen. Like, you get better results when your peers kind of pressure you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And due to the fact that you got 2 new outsiders, you got a young guy next to him, and Dotson is still, he's in the same boat as Dan Moore, and you got Chooks, who's really not a talker, with the new offensive line coach too. So there's a lot of things that's really kind of going into what Dan Moore has kind of turned into. Has he progressed? Has he backtracked a little bit? I don't know if this staff is going to be able to give him that much time to get better unless he takes a tremendous jump next year. Heck, you got people tweeting out on social media, look at the starting left tackle for Ohio State. That's the Steelers left tackle for next year. Yeah. You don't have those conversations if Dan is doing his job. But they don't draft. Those people don't. Okay.
Remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you that where did the Steelers play? Oh, that was here. It was
Yeah.
it was in Pittsburgh, and he couldn't be found after the game, and that's not very offensive line-ish. Okay, you guys are always there. You're standing there. You're waiting to hold court. You're doing it right next to each other, and I'm happy to say that that's been passed along. This group is Moan. They're standing there. They're not sitting even.
Yeah.
They're standing there waiting for you to come over, okay? Unless there's something, and whatever. I think I mentioned to you, James Daniels had like blood coming down his arm. Listen, dude, go take care of your arm, okay? We don't matter. But I couldn't find more after that game. And then here we were in Indianapolis, and there's more.
Yeah.
And he's standing there. So I went and I seized the opportunity and spent some good time with him. And there's an awareness there, Moan. He's not – this is a really bright kid. You know that. You've dealt with him.
Yeah. And that's
There's an awareness. He knows what he has to do.
One of the most mature things he did when I reached out to him about coming on here in the summertime, he's like, man, I got to focus on getting prepared for the season. It's like, I promise you I got you in the off season. That to me was like, he gets that aspect of it, that the job comes first. I always tell you, no matter what guys do on or off the field, you better ball, and you better make sure the reason I'm coming to you, being that you are a football player, is what you need to be doing good. So he has that mental aspect of it. Are we afforded to say he has a sophomore slump? You know what I'm saying? Because it's the focal point of this offense is the run game ain't what you need it to be. The protection been kind of bad. So you just looking at where it's been bad at, and Dan Moore counted you circle him more times than not.
Well, let's do that, because I think that's what the questioner's coming to you for, okay? You know what he's not doing right, and you know what he's doing right. Tell us what those are.
Mistakes are fine, okay?
Okay.
You can miss an assignment. You can give up a sack. You can have a bad game. You can have 2 bad games, maybe even 3, DK. But the things that you make those mistakes and get highlighted from, those things that we see on film, on the replay, on the games that we watch week in and week out, he's got to do a better job of making those disappear faster.
Yeah, learn.
And he hasn't done that.
Mm-mm.
That learning edge of okay, making it go away. You may have gotten me twice in a game, but you're not going to get me next week. At least not directly next week. And we've seen guys go at him. But I've also seen him after he gave up the sack to Yannick. Yannick didn't get much more. That sack, we spoke about that. It wasn't on him. That was on the running back. That was on Kenny Pickett.
Anthony McFarland and Kenny. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he'll have a mess up, and then he goes straight, and you see the athletic ability. You see him lock guys out. You see him get in space and do some stuff. And again, I go back to it. It does take time for offensive linemen. Am I out on him? No. Am I hard pressed to challenge him? Heck yes. And I know I didn't give you a real answer of what it was, but I've seen guys be real bad, okay? And then the next year there's a switch and they get it more. Mm-hmm. This is a super young team. It really has no guidance in the positions that are probably asked to lead more. You got Coach Tomlin grabbing Najee Harris and making him be with Cam Hayward so that they can have an offensive leader. Najee's in year 2. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Those types of things were like, we grew up into those roles. You have no leader on offense that's able to call out somebody the way we were able to do. You know what I'm saying? You spoke about Chooks the other day. Were we off air talking about how great Chooks played? Well, in our room, it'd be times where we see him do those things, and then he go back to the young guy mode, and he would get cussed out. He would get like, hey, man, what the heck are you doing? That's the dude we need to see week in and week out. There's nobody to actually like be able to go at them that way because they're all peers. They're all the same age. You see what I'm saying? So to say I'm out on Dan, I can't necessarily say, am I happy with his play? No, but I guarantee you there's nobody harder on his play than he is. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's always the possibility, too, that he could move inside, which is something that I know gets discussed inside the Steelers circles, obviously not with him. And we'll see how that goes. Some of that might depend on how the draft goes, how free agency goes. There's certainly a future for Dan Moore in
It
some
is.
capacity. There really is, though. Moan, let's do this again tomorrow.
That was a great question, man. It really went
Yeah.
through, like, the life of
I know.
the NFL in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it again.
I'm here if you are, DK.
Yeah, I guess.